Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Hey everybody, it's Michael Coulombe with Mimosas with Michael. I hope everybody's having a great week. I know I say this every week, but I actually am excited about this guest this week. I want to present to you my dear friend Jeffrey Reddick. Hi Jeffrey.
Hey Michael, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. So I'm just gonna go right into it. So Jeffrey and I have known each other for ages, for way too long. But for the point of the podcast, it's just been a couple of years. So we can both be young.
Yeah, we met when we were babies.
Yeah, just little wee lads.
Yeah, we met in daycare.
Exactly. But I am such a huge fan of Jeffrey because most people know Jeffrey as the writer of the original Final Destination. And you also wrote the story for the second one, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, please educate me if I'm incorrect, but I think I've known you long enough to kind of know your biography.
Yeah, and I wrote the original draft of Final Destination, so I always give props to James Wong and Glenn Morgan, the director and his writing partner, who came on and revamped it. But yeah.
But I mean, we wouldn't have had that
my baby.
Awesome movie.
It's my baby.
If it wasn't for you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you're here to talk about your awesome. I mean, first of all, I have to be honest. I want to say this, and I mean this personally from the bottom of my heart. I am so proud of you for this movie because I watched it. I loved it. I remember you sort of having this concept years ago when we first met, and to like see it go through this process of like you writing it, rewriting it. I know you shot a short version of it, if I'm correct. Right?
Yeah, I shot a short, based off the feature.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, yeah, do a short so we can see that you can direct and then we'll finance it. So then I did a short and they're like, do a feature and then we'll finance it. It's like, oh, God. People,
yeah, welcome to LA.
Welcome to Hollywood.
But this feature, and I mean, it's your directorial debut, and it's called Don't Look Back.
Yeah.
Yes. I loved it. I thought there's a couple of great jump scares that got even me. You know, I make horror all the time.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about all the things that I thought were really cool about it, but I wanted you to talk. So you made this movie, you directed it in Louisiana.
Yeah, we shot it in Baton Rouge.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. Everybody was really wonderful down there. They were just they have a good film base, a lot in New Orleans, but everybody there is just so nice and accommodating. It's so much different than shooting movies in like big cities like LA or New York where everything's expensive and people have movies shot all the time, so they're just like, give us money and we'll let you do it.
Or they just, for some reason, you're in the way. Like you're just in the way. Because it's such a big city and there's no room. And then you descend on a small location with like 40 people. Well, maybe not so much presently because of COVID, but before.
Yeah.
And they're just like, but in small towns, when I shoot movies in small towns, they're just like,
you can shoot anywhere.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we made you cookies. And like the town mayor comes. I've done that before. I did a movie in, I think just outside of Seattle, like the town mayor came and introduced everybody. We got little town pins. Like it's so crazy.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Like you should,
So I mean, not that I don't.
I highly recommend shooting in small towns.
They're very accommodating because they love the consistent business.
Yeah.
And film people, when we're on location, we drop money because we have nothing to do. So we're like, oh, let's just go out and drink every night and go eat dinner and go, support and they love that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just they get excited. Yeah. But I'm just so proud of you. So I don't know. I mean, you directed your first feature, man, and it's out and it's really good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It's, they always say like your first time, like these movies come out and it's like, you think it's overnight, but yeah, it's been a long road. I mean, we were trying to get this financed. We had a studio pick it up at one point, and then right before we started filming, they closed their film division. So, this business is just like, how the business is. So after that happened, my producer, Andrew Vandenhouten, and I, and Andy Steinman, we were just like, let's just do it ourselves, because I turned down, because it's a long commitment to make a feature. So I turned down writing work on a couple to staff a couple of shows. And I'm like, we just can't keep waiting for other people to come in and finance a film. So we just decided to kind of shoot it indie style and just do it. And it was really stressful and it was really exciting, and I learned so much, and we had a lot of great people that worked for us. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see it finally come out.
Well, I'm glad. I was excited. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just curled up in my bed and I watched it on my computer and I just put my headphones on and I was just all in it and it was so much fun. It really is. I'm so proud of you for that, man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to make, and it is funny because the time of year has kind of been a little rocky because it's Halloween's good for like hardcore horror films, but when I wrote this, it was kind of never. I have many hardcore horror scripts, and this one was written to always be more of like a social commentary thriller.
Yeah.
So coming out around Halloween, where people kind of watch their favorite Halloween movies, and then obviously with the elections happening, like it was, it was you're really trying to get out there and get people to notice it and watch it.
Yeah,
but
kind of came in under the radar a tad bit. Just a tad bit under the radar, I think, just because of all the sort of like there was so much going on around it.
Yeah, there's so much noise in the world, and plus, I mean, the whole world is kind of suffering from the same, the pandemic and the economic crisis. So, it's understandable. But the response has been really positive, so I've been really excited about that.
Well, I do like the social commentary aspect because, I mean, for those who haven't seen the movie, it's basically about this woman witnesses a crime, a murder, but instead of people helping, somebody records it and stuff, and it's so like it's the backlash of people responding to like, you saw this person being, her and you didn't do anything, and I can't stress I think how prevalent that is nowadays between the good and the bad, because if it wasn't for something like that, we wouldn't have something like what happened with George Floyd,
Right.
And it's not that, I mean, what can you do? You can't fight against the police. I get that in that sense, but like, there are those moments where like, when do you go to help? Granted,
Yeah.
the lead actress called 911, luckily, so she was trying to do something. But
yeah, and I mean that's almost the least that you can ask from people, and you kind of see it even more today. I think people's first instinct is when they see something bad happening, they want to record it and put it online, because they're trying to get viral fame instead of like, hey, why don't you call 911 with that phone before you start recording on it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, like I see calls where people are filming like a beating or something, and they're literally on the recording it going, should we call the police? And I'm like, you've got a friggin' phone in your hand, of course you should call the police.
Yeah, like you didn't call the police?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So I have a smartwatch and a cell phone, so I can record it and call. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, cool. No, that's
no, but I get, it's interesting. I get why people like, and like again, I'm just going back to the George Floyd. I get why people do it because it's so, you're like, no one's gonna believe this, and it's like this is that moment where like if you didn't capture it, but at the same time you're like, I hope someone's calling 911. So it's like, I come from a time when we didn't have cell phones, so my first reaction would always be to call 911.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the kind of gray area, that I wanted to explore with this, because, some people have reasons that are valid and some people have reasons that are valid in their head, and then some people have selfish reasons.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to explore that.
Like if I'm with a friend and I'm like, record this because we might need this to help this person, but I'm gonna call. I'm down for that because at least I feel like it's this double thing where you're like, we got to make sure we get something like this on camera because it's powerful. Not for social media. I'm talking about like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but I think and I really think nowadays, especially like the political climate we've gone through and everything, I think that's what makes this movie so powerful in that aspect. It's like, yes, you probably can't jump in, but there was at least 3 men that witnessed that crime in the movie, and all 3 of them could have taken on that one guy, perhaps.
Yeah, or again, they could have just called the police. It's always it's funny because you never want to tell people like jump in and fight, and then they end up getting like hurt themselves. But
exactly.
But yeah, like one of them like takes off, and he's got a very selfish reason for taking off with the woman he's with, and the other one gets held back, and you're not sure because he's like, oh, I was kind of staying to protect her because she was worried he might have a gun, but you're not sure if he was really worried himself or not. Not brave enough to step up. So that's where the fun I think lies with these kind of stories.
Well, then I thought about it and I was like, God, if I actually saw something like that, like I wonder. It kind of makes you wonder. You're like, how would I react in that situation? And you'd like to think that you would do the right thing, except you never know until you're in that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really do. And I think again, that's what makes this part of the movie so tantamount in the sense is like, I think sitting here talking to you right now that I would definitely call the police or try to at least get the guy's attention so he would stop beating the guy. But like, it's easy to say that till I'm there, and I'm like, I don't want to get like, it's like, so that's what I think is awesome about that. But I would like to think that I would at least call the police because I've done that before.
Yeah, I think I would call the police for sure.
Yeah.
Especially after this story's been in my brain for so long. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I would obviously call the police, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily rush into a situation unless I had sussed out like
Yeah.
who's
And they tell you all the time,
what.
just don't play the hero. But
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me about what your first. I mean, what was it like to direct your first feature? Like, what was the feeling? How did you go about it?
It was great. I mean, I went through kind of the normal stuff that we did. We did, the pre-production. We went down to Baton Rouge for 4 weeks and did that.
Nice.
I certainly, going from like a studio budget where we'd had kind of, when you have a lot more money, you can just, if there's a problem, you just put more money towards it and it goes away.
Yeah.
So, I kind of storyboarded the movie and did everything based on a bigger budget. So when we got down there, and some locations weren't available anymore and some new ones came up, and there were some, so we were kind of just dealing with all the logistical issues that come up when you're shooting an indie film. So that was a learning experience because I'd been to so many sets, and you kind of, if you're on sets for a long time and you watch a lot of movies and you read a lot of stuff, and I did the short, and that was I don't want to say easy, but it was pretty easy to do.
I mean, it's definitely much easier to do more short form than long form.
Yeah. So, I did go down there. Like I said, it was a learning experience because I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I got down there on set. And then you're in the trenches, dealing with problems, every 4 hours or more or less, some new issue kind of comes up. And luckily you've got a crew around you who's kind of buffering you from a lot of it, but a lot of it does come back to you because you have to make decisions to.
Yeah. But you were also directing, but you were also producing, and you also wrote it. So you probably were dealing with like 3 different sort of like.
Yeah, I wasn't technically producing this one.
Okay, good. Okay.
I don't think did I. Oh yeah, I was an executive producer on this one.
Okay, that's fair. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that I wouldn't have had time to do all that. I mean, I still did a lot more work than I think a typical writer and director has to do on their film. But again, that's one of the things of making films indie style. You got to wear a lot of hats, and again, we had a great team and a great cast that was working to we were all working towards the same goal. So
of course, yeah. And I did like that your lead actress was a young Black female, and it's not really something you see a lot. And then she was dating a white man, which is something you really don't see a lot, especially in movies. So I really liked that. Because
and that was part of because it's funny because I'm a biracial child, so,
which I knew that,
yeah. So it's funny because it's hard enough to see. It's hard enough to find like a lot of men and women of color like in leads in any film, but especially horror films. It's gotten better for sure. But then you also don't see a lot of interracial couples because there's still a societal taboo about that we don't acknowledge too much. And from all sides, there are issues from all sides. And so I have a lot of biracial friends, and they're like, like anybody, visibility is so important, just so people can see their lives and themselves reflected on screen. So
and that was one of the first things I noticed, because I knew that you were biracial, and I saw that. I was like, that's awesome. And I had been in a biracial relationship, so and to me it didn't deter from the movie. Like, it just felt more real because it was like these are just, and I like that because I think it wasn't like we just don't have to get pretty people. Like, she was a good actress. She was great on camera. They looked good together. Yeah. And they had great chemistry. So, and then I also like that there was I don't know if this was intentional. So this is something I got as somebody who watched the movie, but I felt like there was times because she also is trying to redeem herself by getting to know the brother. Yeah. The other guy that gets killed. And because he's white, you're like, oh, like I think her boyfriend starts feeling threatened, which is sort of like, I don't know if that's something you did on purpose, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He can feel a little threatened, and that's something that's real too. Yeah. And I mean, I wrote that in intentionally a little bit in this script because a lot of times in these movies, when the person pairs up with somebody else that's,
attractive and on the same mission as they are, they start to potentially be romantic sparks. We didn't go down that road because there just wasn't time to really get into it. But you know, she feels so much guilt for not helping his brother that, you know, and so much sympathy for him, that you do wonder, like, maybe if her boyfriend doesn't start supporting her more, like, is she going to fall for this guy?
And I like that. Yeah, I thought that was great. You know, that's the human emotion, man. And of course, because they both experience the same thing, a loss of somebody.
Yeah.
That's so tantamount.
That brings people together.
Exactly. And then, okay, so let's talk Final Destination. Sorry, I love this movie. You know, it's my favorite franchise.
Of course.
I'm so proud of it.
It wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't talk about Final Destination.
Well, we can literally talk about everything.
No.
But I do know the audience. I mean, because it's kind of like, you know, it's sort of the thing that like launched you into like your career, and it's the same thing when I was interviewing James Duvall. I was like, we have to talk about Frank from Donnie Darko. It's kind of like your iconic character, and he's like, I know, and he even had like a mold of the Frank head, which I thought was amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, like I love talking about it. I mean, it's just, you know, being a horror fan myself, I've said this a lot, but just growing up as a horror fan, you know, I realize how blessed I am, you know, and it was such a dream come true to have like something that you created originally, like turn into something that's kind of part of the cultural zeitgeist now. You know, like I'll hear people on the street, you know, talking about, oh, that was a Final Destination moment, you know, and I don't even know them, and I want to be like,
I don't even know that you're there, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, yes, it was. I love that. That's a beautiful story. So if there's somebody who's known you as long as I have, and I know you've been talking about it for years, I feel like I've probably heard a lot of the stories about Final Destination just because I know you personally. So I really want to tie it into this. So you wrote Final Destination and it got made. How did you approach this movie differently as a writer? You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I think in some small ways there's similarities because you do have your own voice. So how did you approach this project differently?
Well, I think the biggest difference, because to be honest, you know, with Don't Look Back, it's more of a what's doing it. Like you're not sure if there's a supernatural threat coming after them or a killer coming after them. So It really is more of a mystery because, you know, in a typical horror film, you know, you have big bloody set pieces and I couldn't really show any of that because you don't know who or what is after them.
Yeah, and I like that too.
So that inherently made me make it different than Final Destination just because I couldn't rely on like the supernatural stuff I would normally do in a film like this, or I couldn't rely on the slasher stuff that I would normally do on a film like this. So I think that inherently made it different. I mean, there was a point where at one point I was just, because everybody keeps saying, bring me something like Final Destination. There was a point where I was thinking, you know what, let me just make it straight up supernatural. It's karma and it kills the crap out of them, every one of them. But then I realized, you know, that's just kind of cannibalizing myself, which again is not a bad thing. But for my first time out of the gate, you know, as a director, I wanted to do something that was different than Final Destination, but it's obviously got some, even, you know, the setup with a bunch of people with something happening and the ramifications of it.
Of course. Yeah.
Is going to draw parallels. And, you know, Caitlin in the film is is a Christian. And so she starts seeing signs around her and seeing this specific, you know, Bible quote that is like leading her to believe something supernatural is after them and can kind of lead her to solving this mystery. And, you know, in Final Destination, Alex, you know, was kind of looking for the signs that death was around. So, you know, those two parallels were going to be there. And I realize a lot of my stuff is about that, you know, but which it's a lot of times it's a horror tradition, especially in this stuff I grew up on, where like a group of people, you know, do something and then it cuts to 10 years later and whatever they did comes back to haunt them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just another trope that I've probably done it in my writing and stuff too. So I get it.
Yeah. You just kind of grow up on that a lot. So I think for this one, I wanted to tap into that thematic idea that we can all relate to. Like we've all been in situations where we've seen something happen and we're like, should I get involved? Should I not get involved? So I wanted to kind of tap into that and again, just play it out in a more emotional kind of mystery kind of fashion, as opposed to just, again, going this straight up horror route. So if I'd have gone, you know, like, let's just make this movie karma and have karma, like, again, like I said, just ripping people up. It would
Yeah.
have been a horror film. It would have been more of a horror film, but it would have.
Yeah. Also, what's great is so that your audience that knows you as the guy that wrote Final Destination, and they're so familiar with, like, because there's been 5 of them now, and the 5th one was really a prequel. So it's great that, like, now they get to see not only did you write this, but you get to direct it. So it's definitely much more your original vision than, like, Final Destination was, where you just wrote it, but it got changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
think
kind of
it
like
was,
that.
but it's interesting because when you haven't directed before, a lot of times as a writer, you're like, that script doesn't look anything like my movie. And the funny thing is, even with me directing it,
Yeah.
the movie doesn't look like the script in my head that I first wrote, because again, it was like I wrote it for a certain budget. And
Yeah,
then
of
when
course.
you go indie, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I can't do this and I can't have these set pieces, and I've got to kind of consolidate locations. And then you start like changing stuff to adapt. And then once you start editing it, it also can turn into kind of a different
Yeah.
film than than all the footage you shot. So it's a very interesting like process.
Well, I will tell you, yeah, it doesn't feel indie to me, by the way. I didn't get that vibe. So,
Well, I mean, we worked our asses off to
uh,
make sure that the
well, Mike
production
Mendez
value.
is great. Mike was your editor.
Yeah,
I've worked with him before. He's great. And then, but I do know that there's always the movie you write, and then there's a movie you shoot, and there's a movie you edit, and they're always
yeah,
different. So,
yes, absolutely. And
but I think going into that, it's not always a necessarily a bad thing, because you find such beautiful moments that, or like your editor can bring something and you're like, oh, like I never thought about that. That's great. It really tells this part of the story, and it's nice to have that sort of, like, it's one thing I love about filmmaking, that collaboration you get from other people, that are involved.
yeah, I'm very big on that too. And I know a lot of filmmakers aren't necessarily like that. They don't like to collaborate, but for me, just also having a theater background, like I'm always like, hey, if you've got a great idea, like, let me know, because if it makes the film better, again, that's great. So I'm very collaborative. Obviously, once you start filming, there has to be a little bit of a line drawn. Like, it's like, of course, people can suggest stuff but you don't want, like, a producer coming up and going, why don't we add a,
yeah, you're like, we're already shooting, calm down.
Yeah, it's like, no, calm down.
That's so funny. And I know we talked about this before, but I do want to say it on the air that I like that you made one of the characters, Tony Cusimano, for the in memory of our dear friend that passed away. So I was excited about that. When I saw that, I was like, oh, you know what, God bless his soul. So that's nice. That is one thing I love about art, is that you're able to do things like that, to sort of give memory to the people that have shaped our lives.
Yeah.
In a way. So I like that. So.
Yeah, and I think it's it's kind of the one thing. It's not the one thing, but it's one of the things that we can do is, when we're making films, is like, if there is somebody important, we can name a character after them or immortalize them on film.
Or in a book, or some sort of art. Yeah.
So yeah, he was a wonderful guy, and a way bigger horror geek than me. Like, I mean, he knew so much. He was like one of those, like, you would never play trivia with him, because he would just kick your ass 6 ways to Sunday.
He's the one you wanted on your team.
Yeah, you want on your trivia team, because he knew so much, and he's such a sweet soul. So yeah.
Yeah, I have two like that now. Brantley, who my writing partner, and then my cousin Daryl. It's like, if there's anything about horror, like, they know.
That's
And it's like,
I know a lot, but I feel like when I talk to my friends that go to do these horror trivias all the time, they know so many specific details about such small things, and I'm like, I am not playing with you guys, because I don't.
Yeah, you're like I'm part of the industry, and I don't even know. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you next then? I know you've been busy writing and doing things. Is there anything you talk about now, or do I just have to have you on the show again?
I'm excited. I also produced a movie called The Call that had Lin Shaye and Tobin Bell in it, and Timothy Woodard Jr., who directed The Final Wish with Lin Shaye, that I produced with Tommy Hudson. We kind of reunited for this project. Nice. And it was really great to get Lin and Tobin together on screen again. And the movie just came out on VOD a couple weeks ago, just a couple weeks after my movie did. So I have two of them out there, so you can do a double feature. But it's a really fun, fun horror film with, again, two icons in the genre who've never been together on screen. So it's really great to see them on screen. Yeah. And so that was exciting. And I'm working on 2 Netflix animated series.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've gone from like murdering people to only killing a few people, but mostly the stories are about life lessons
Oh, that's
and
fun.
fun adventures. But one is based off, it's a spin-off of the Usagi Yojimbo Japanese cartoon or comic
Oh,
book, sorry.
okay.
So, we have the
Nice.
blessing of the creator on this, and it's been really fun to write. And the other one hasn't been announced yet, so I can't say anything about it, but it comes out in Halloween of 2021.
Well, I guess we gotta
And
have you on the back of the show then.
yeah.
Talk
So
about things.
working on animated stuff, working on, trying to get some features going once we kind of sort out what's happening with COVID, because obviously that's affecting, how films are made and when productions can start. So a lot of the business has been put pretty much on hold since beginning of the year,
Yeah.
since March.
And how are you surviving through everything?
Luckily, being a writer, you're kind of used to being solitary.
Yeah. Right, without a doubt. You're like, thanks for
So,
this. I appreciate this.
yeah, no. So it hasn't bothered me too much. Again, like I certainly have spent too much time obsessing about news and worrying about, I'm a cancer, so I worry, so when I hear all these stories of people getting sick and losing their jobs and dying, it really bothers me. So
Yeah, it's
I try
heartbreaking.
to like stay in gratitude as much as I can so I don't get bummed out by that stuff. But I have noticed myself going a little cabin fevery because I
Yeah.
started in the last couple of months, I've started having like nightmares where, or dreams where I'll wake up and I'm still talking to the people that I was talking to in my dream. And I never used to do that. And
Oh,
it's a
interesting.
lot. I'll just wake up and I'll be half asleep and half awake and like talking like I'm in my dream. And then sometimes I'll fall back into the dream and sometimes I won't. And I know that's not like getting cabin fever, but it's just something, it's a behavior thing that I've never
Sounds like
had
there's a
before.
movie there.
Yeah.
You never know.
The movie talker.
Yeah. You also did a movie. Oh my God, I'm so bad. I should know this. Is it Dead Awake?
Get awake.
I like that one. I remember watching that one. That was really good. But you didn't direct that one. You just wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wrote
I'm
and produced that one, and that was Philip Guzman did that, and that's also out now. It's on
Yeah.
video on demand. It's about sleep paralysis, and it's we had
Yes.
Philip's an amazing guy and an amazing director, and we had a wonderful cast: Jocelyn Donahue, Brea Grant, Jesse Bradford, Lori Petty.
Wait, did I think I can't believe I don't remember this off the top of my head, but I think I went to the screening. I think that was the last time I
Yeah.
saw you was at the screening of this movie.
Yeah, we
Yes,
did.
that's right.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's out now. That's good.
That's
We'll
been
put the link.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one too.
Thank you.
I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you. I mean, I've been following your journey for a long time, and like you're just doing so good, and it just humbles me because you're one of my favorite people. Like you've always been like I think one of the nicest, truest, and like most supportive people around. And so like to see such great things happening for you is just it gives me hope, because like if anybody deserves it, it's definitely you, right?
Well, I appreciate that. My mom raised me right, I'll say, and
Yes, you did.
so I give all credit to my mom, and just how I treat people and how I conduct myself, like personally and professionally. I just
Yeah.
I try to just be honest with everybody, and try not to do wrong by anybody, and sometimes those are just like general things that we should
It's a good
kind of
look. It's a good way to live.
yeah.
It
And
really is.
why and support your friends, like why like I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for people supporting me, if it wasn't for fans supporting me and seeing my stuff. So obviously I'm going to support people whose work I enjoy or friends of mine and people that I know. So
Well, I've always been. Every time you support me, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I guess it's just because to me, you're where I want to be. And so like when you take the time out of like where you are to help me, I'm just like, it's humbling. I've gotten the same support from like Victor Miller, who wrote, Friday the 13th, and like Harry Manfredini, the composer. And like sometimes like they take the time to assist me, and I'm just like, so I try to do the same thing to other people that are coming up. I try to help them and like try to pay it forward because
absolutely, because we're all just people, like.
Yeah, but if there's anything this movie's taught me, it's karma. The karma. So I like to have good karma. I really like to have good karma all the time.
Me too. I just do it too because I feel bad. It just makes me feel better. Like if I feel like I've hurt somebody's feelings or offended somebody, it just bothers me.
If I'm the reason why I'd rather be the reason why someone is lifted and wants to follow their passion rather than the guy that crushes their dreams. Because I can't tell you how many times on my journey people have been the ones to be like, don't do this. Are you sure you want to do this? Or that particular project wasn't good. And you're just like, but like, they don't tell you why. They're just like, man. And so it's like, they're the ones that are crushing my dream. And it's like, you have to, that's always like one more rung you have to kind of get over on that ladder to success. And I'd rather be somebody that's kind of lifting them up rather than pulling them down.
Yeah. And that happens when you want to have a career in any kind of art form, you know, or probably even sports. I think probably sports you get more respect, but you know, they always cut like artistic programs at schools. You know, that's the first thing to go out of budgets. And you know, we just don't have a society that values art in any form. Which I shouldn't say we don't have a society that values it, but they don't value it like they do. Like the common theme is like, you know, even when I told my mom I wanted to be an actor, she's like, well, you know, you're going to have to study something and get a real job. You know, like that's the attitude.
Oh yeah, we've both been there. You know.
You know, so
and you've met my mom, so you know.
Yeah, whether you're a writer, actor, director, photographer, sculptor, like people are going to be like, yeah, but what's your real job? You know,
art. And here's what's so interesting. If this is one thing the pandemic has taught us is when everything shut down, all we had was art. We had reading, we had movies and television. And I think that was more prevalent now than ever.
Yeah.
In fact, it's what I attribute to becoming a photographer, because I had bought a camera back in January because I wanted to take better pictures, but I couldn't do anything during the pandemic. All I did was write. I got hired to write a few scripts and I took pictures.
Yeah.
And the photography is what made me kind of stay sane.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I studied photography in high school and worked in the darkroom and I loved it.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten back into that.
Now's your chance.
Probably should. Yeah. Now you got me thinking about that. I should.
Hey, I told you I'm here to lift people up. I'm here to lift people up. But it was great because it's something it was something I could do during COVID, that I could be distanced from people and still feel creative when I wasn't writing. Because if I finished a project and I was like, well, I'm stuck in this damn house for hours and I got to get out, and I had this camera, so I took pictures of flowers and like just things. If I saw something. And I went back to I came back home and I'd practice in Lightroom. I'm like, oh, maybe this picture will look great in black and white, or I could make this part pop. And it's just like, I would still be able to be creative, but people don't realize that like you couldn't do sports because it brought people together in person. And that was just not a safe thing to do at the moment. Right. So all we had was art. And you're just like, I just wish that people realize. I'm glad. I mean, it's kind of a shame it took this for people to realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always, you know, it's always sad when it takes like a tragic event to make people kind of realize some of the things in life that are important and what's really important in life. And of course, I can't tell anybody what's important in their life, but you know, I think you speak to a very good point that even if they're not consciously aware of, you know, artists, like they you know, they watched like 100 movies or 100 movies
or they brought out albums they hadn't heard in a while,
or Amazon. So
exactly, they were streaming like crazy. So
yeah.
Well, I wish like everybody go please check out this movie. To me, it's good, and if you love horror, you're definitely gonna like, because it has all the great tropes, but then there's also new things about it. Because just when I thought I knew it was happening, I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, like it just kept going, you know, up until the very end, and I was like, I said, I see you, Jeffy. And then I looked through my eye when the movie was done. I was like, I'm so proud of you, man. Like it's a fun.
That means a lot.
Fun movie.
Does.
And you got me a couple of times. I jumped a couple of times. I was like, oh, okay, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's hard because, you know, you put the jump scare, because, you know, you have to have jump scares.
Yeah.
Especially when you can't show like really bloody or scary, intense death scenes. You have to have jump scares.
Yeah, but you didn't overdo it. And I was happy about that. You know, like there was just some suspense, but there was some jump scares, and the payoffs are really good. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I cut a couple because I was just like, yeah, this is too many. So
there was one moment, and I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give it away, but it's right after she goes into the morgue to verify the body, and there's that the thing, but with her head. The hand. Oh my God, I couldn't. I was like, that just creeped me out. It was so good. That was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, and that was all done practically, and
of course, yeah.
And I actually, that shot I'm really proud of, or that scene, because I came up with that scare like the day before we were shooting.
Oh, wow.
Because originally the scare was going to involve Douglas's spirit. And I'm like, you know what, we've already seen that enough. Like, I don't want to show him again.
And that's one of those beautiful gems you find on set. I love that. You just like,
so I was like, let me just do this. And then I think it turned out really well.
I think it turned out. I just saw the movie. I loved it. So, and where can people find you?
I think following me on Twitter is the best thing to do. It's Jeffrey A. Reddick. I'm also at that same handle on Instagram. I just don't do Instagram enough.
Yeah, you're definitely a Twitter guy.
I don't have enough. I mean, I'm going to start taking more cat pictures, but I don't travel enough, and I'm not taking my clothes off enough to have people follow me on Twitter.
No thirst trap Thursdays, huh?
I'm going to start using my cat more though. I have my cat.
There you go.
So I think I'm just going to start pimping that cat out like a tramp.
People love cats.
People do.
They love cats.
I'm like the cat writer.
I like it. It works for me. Oh, Jeffrey, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. I really
for having me, and anytime, my friend. And I look forward to seeing you when we can see each other in person.
When it's safe, soon we hope.
But I like the look you're rocking. You look very like jockey.
I know, I'm so butch. Well, this is the hat.
But you got the stubble and the shirt and.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't. I mean, I just bought this jacket the other day. I liked it because it's kind of like a jean jacket, but then like the sleeves are a little bit warmer.
Mm-hmm.
But then the hat, because this is my photography hat, so I just wear it. I never wear hats, but then like I don't know, it's so cold right now. I'm just kind of all like huddled in my little corner here talking to you online.
Oh, awesome.
But thank you.
You look very butch. Not that not that you need to look butch.
No, but hey, that's what I was going for. I needed to shave, but what happened was my charger wasn't shaved when I was like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna rock it's fine.
Yeah, I'm still keeping the grays. I was gonna start dyeing my hair, but I'm like, screw it.
No, that Obama thing going on. I love it.
Yeah.
You look like you could be president for 8 years. That's perfect.
I actually now I think I wouldn't want to be president, but I'm pretty sure that with the bar that's been set, I could be president for 8 years.
Oh my God, it's so low. It's so easy. Yeah. You're so easy.
Totally,
it's so easy.
Totally could be president for 8 years.
Well, we'll do that. Well, Jeffrey Reddick, 2024. Anyways, my dear friend, it's such a pleasure. You guys, please follow him on not the gram, but follow him on Twitter, I guess, and find out what he's up to. And please go watch the movie Don't Look Back. It's on VOD now, right? It's out now.
Yeah, it's on iTunes, Amazon, Vudu, Fandango. Now it's on all the YouTube. It's on all the places where you can buy it.
Yeah, there's a movie, you're gonna find it. You guys watch the movie and then spam Jeffrey's Twitter with how much you love it and tell him your favorite scene. Okay? Do it. His first movie, you got to go see it. This is a guy
Michael
that created
Cologne challenge. Spam the hell out of me.
That's right. Just say I love the movie. Spam the hell. Well, because you want to hear from your fans, and you wrote Final Destination. Everybody loves that movie. So now we got to go rock your first directorial debut.
Oh, thank you, man.
My pleasure. Stay tuned. Stay here. But you guys check out Mimosas with Michael. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio and YouTube, and now Instagram TV. Thank you, everybody. This is Michael Cologne, and thank you to my dear friend, Jeffrey Reddick.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.